we have a question. How do you change from narrow-minded to broad-minded? Well, with knowledge, you learn more, your horizons, your vision, your understanding grows, but you also have to understand context. Some instructions apply in one context, but they don't apply in another context. In one context, Prabhupada told his servant to not go on book distribution. He also told his servant, don't go to Mangalarti. You have to stay with me all the time. So that's context. Now, if I take that instruction and think, well, that instruction's for everyone, obviously, it's a contextual instruction. It doesn't make sense. So, as we grow and as we mature, we begin to apply instructions or learn how to apply instructions according to circumstance. So one of the things that I love to do is read about Prabhupada, because when you read about Prabhupada, you understand how he applies different instructions in different circumstances. And I find it's often easy to misunderstand Prabhupada when you don't understand the instruction within the context that he's applying it, because we might read an instruction and think, I should apply it in a particular way. But it's not the way Prabhupada himself would apply it, or it wasn't his intention to be applied in the way that you're thinking to apply it, because you have a limited understanding of the philosophy, limited experience in life, different from what Prabhupada has and what Prabhupada intended in that instruction. So when Prabhupada is giving us Shastra, he's representing the Shastra, he's representing the disciplic succession, he's representing the Acharyas, he's giving us the Tattva. This is the truth. This is what has been handed down. Then it's up to us to understand how to practically apply that within a context, within a circumstance. And so a lot of times we take an instruction and we think this instruction is meant for everyone in every situation at all times. It may be, but often it isn't. And then we misapply the instruction, and then we become fanatical or narrow-minded because we can't understand how that would apply in different situations. So oftentimes, I feel personally, sometimes we have immature understandings of what Prabhupada is saying, and we're applying it immaturely. Means we're applying it in very, very narrow and specific ways, which don't apply to everyone in every situation. Now, I have the opportunity to travel a lot, so I get to see a lot of devotees and a lot of temples and a lot of different contexts and a lot of different cultures. And as you go from one culture to another, you will see there are huge differences in culture. And you can't apply Krishna consciousness exactly the same in every culture. So we have to make adaptations. Of course, the principle is we want people to become Krishna conscious. So we make adaptations which we best think would suit them in their particular situation. So we were having class this morning and we were saying, for example, Bhagavatam says if you want something material, you should worship Krishna. At the same time, our scriptures say we should not approach Krishna for anything material. So that first instruction is applying to the general mass of people. The second instruction is applying to practicing devotees. That is an impurity for us to ask Krishna for something material. But for a non-devotee, it's good because they're approaching Krishna. Then I told the story of a man who heard that Krishna had very, very beautiful and expensive jewelry, and he went to find Krishna to steal his jewelry. And Prabhupada said in the lecture, and I was there, I said, if you want to steal, at least steal from Krishna, because you'll come in touch with Krishna. So is stealing good? Is stealing from Krishna good? Of course it's not good. It's offensive. But if you're a non-devotee and you search out Krishna to steal his jewelry, you get to meet Krishna. So that's good. So when we're too narrow-minded, then we think, no, one instruction must be applied exactly this way in every situation. But we find that was not the case with Prabhupada. He made adjustments according to individual, knowing what they would do and what they wouldn't do. And a lot of times he wouldn't give someone an instruction because he knew they couldn't follow it. And so we would be surprised, why didn't you instruct the person to do this? Because he wasn't going to follow it. And if I instruct him to do it and he doesn't follow it, then he's making offense to his spiritual master. So Prabhupada was always flexible and adjusting. And we told this morning that example when the devotees first came to India. At a certain point, Prabhupada said, do not go on the street and do Harinam Sankirtan, because people will think you're beggars. And this was the instruction that Prabhupada gave us in the West. Go out every day and do Harinam Sankirtan. So now he's saying the complete opposite thing. He's giving a totally different instruction. Don't go out on Harinam Sankirtan. Very interesting, isn't it? So if we don't understand things within context, we won't be able to understand what Prabhupada means, and we'll misrepresent him, and when we misrepresent him, we'll misrepresent him in our teachings. So I would suggest, as I mentioned before, read everything you possibly can about Prabhupada's life, because then you'll understand practically how he dealt with so many varieties of situations and so many varieties of contexts. There's a discussion going on that I'm part of, and the discussion is the Shastra says A, B, C, and D, and if you don't do A, B, C, and D, and there's a resolution which seems like it's not doing A, B, and C, D, and D, then you're not following. But there's one problem there. Prabhupada didn't say to do A, B, C, and D. The Shastra said do it, but Prabhupada said, no, do this. So we can't just say, Shastra says this, therefore we do it. We have to understand, Prabhupada can adjust things, and Prabhupada said, no, don't do that, even though Shastra says it. So we don't want to become fanatical about Shastra and avoid what Srila Prabhupada says. Of course, you might say it's only a apparent difference. But in this case, there was a difference. Shastra said this, it's a general rule. But in this particular situation, Prabhupada did something different to apply as was necessary for that situation. So you have to keep that into consideration. It's not just what the Shastra says. Even Prabhupada sometimes would say something, but do the opposite according to the time and place. So if we understand that, then when we understand an instruction, we see, well, how will this apply in various situations, rather than say it will only apply one way in every situation, because often that's not true. It is true sometimes, but not always.